Hello viewers and welcome to another episode of Speechless. I'm your host, Dan Halpern, and today we'll be debating the issues that matter. We'll cover a wide range of topics from politics to pop culture. Tonight, we'll be discussing traveling to Mars, cultures in the media, and the recent Whole Foods policy. Let's get ready for a fierce fight. Ready, set, speechless. Welcome back to Speechless, and let's give a warm welcome to the two teams that we'll be debating tonight. On this side, we have the Walker Werewolves with Siobhan and Kate. How are you guys feeling tonight? You guys ready for this debate?
Really good. I'm really excited.
We're both just so psyched, ready to face this new team. We haven't seen them before. It'll be great.
Awesome.
Exciting.
And on my other side, we have the Colonial Centaurs with Nick and Julia. Are you guys ready for tonight's debate?
Let's bring it.
Yeah, pretty
Awesome.
set, you know.
Awesome, but before we start, we have to introduce our panel of judges. Now, we have Josh, Medina, and PT. What are your expectations for this debate tonight?
I want to see people go in on the issues that matter.
Definitely.
I'm excited to see how these debates will be portrayed.
I'm glad to know we still debate the issues that matter because the first two debates both have to do with Matt Damon.
Well, on that note, it's time to begin our very first debate. In the past week, scientists discovered free-flowing water on Mars. Several groups, such as Mars One, are looking to plan and carry out manned missions to Mars within the next 20 years. Since the decommissioning of the U.S. Space Shuttle in 2011, many are left wondering if heading to the Red Planet is even feasible. Scientific exploration has not been a large part of society recently, but there could be important things to learn from a manned trip to Mars. So is human exploration of Mars in the next two decades a worthwhile pursuit, or is this just not worth it? Let's start with you guys.
I would argue it's not worth it because of the massive budget, for one. It's not necessary. We can send rovers there, Spirit and Opportunity's still going and still going to new explorations and craters and whatnot. So, along with the risks, which you can go into, but I simply don't see how it's worth it considering those factors.
And I'm going to agree with him. Multiple sources say that there's budget concerns. The New York Times even says that it's the same type of atmosphere as Antarctica, and there's no one living on Antarctica. And we risk contamination. There's potential backwards contamination. These are all facts that are backed up by multiple sources.
I'm just gonna open up with, like, what's even the point of being alive in such like a fantastic universe that's full of so many things to learn if we're not going to go out and explore it? Humans have inhabited this planet for as long as humans have existed. We don't know that, there's life on any other planet. So, like, why not go and explore these places ourselves? And how awesome, and you say that the cost isn't cost efficient, but on a worldwide level, not just like nationally based, but as the human race.
The first time we landed on the moon, it brought America and Americans together. Everyone was sitting down watching their TV, watching this incredible mission and these men go to space. We could have that all over again on Mars.
Yes, but the thing is that the men return from the moon. It's not like we sent them to live there. And the other thing, too, is that Captain Robert Falcon Scott addressed the public and said, for God's sake, look after our own people. We have so many problems on our home planet that we need solving.
It's just a priorities issue.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, though, like, the people who are going to be, like, NASA is not responsible for ending poverty, for ending, like, starvation.
That's
stuff.
true,
They have
they shouldn't be given billions of dollars for a mission
Okay, so
that a
let's talk
robot
about
We
that.
give people billions of dollars for the military, which they're not
Agreed,
even
and we should-
properly using.
Agreed,
So
and we
why
should
not
cut that too.
redirect our funds into something creative and
So that's
useful?
a good question. I have a question here.
sorry.
Now, you're talking about the taxpayer who's doing the bill here. What are you going to say to the taxpayer who's, this budget could be anywhere between $6 billion and $500 billion to go to Mars? What do you say to the taxpayer? Like, why should they have to pay for this mission?
I'd say it's just a matter of being a human being and taking a sort of interest in being curious about the universe you exist in, because there's so much we can learn from this different planet. We just learned that there's running water on Mars. How can you not want to go explore that further? How can you not have the desire to learn more? And besides, by creating a human outpost on Mars, not only do we first have a colony on another planet, that's something that's been out of sci-fi until now. So it's just a really cool advancement that we weren't sure we'd ever get to do. Secondly, if we're able to build a base there, that gives us somewhere to launch probes and other stuff from to go explore the universe further than we've been able to because Mars is further out there.
Think about the advances in technology that going out to Mars would give us. That's millions of jobs you're creating just for people to try and create this technology that will send us out to Mars.
Yeah, I mean, we're not even against Martian travel per se. We're just debating whether it should be on the government's dime. We have not addressed the extreme risks involved, such as contamination. If you send a robot over there or a rover, it's much easier to decontaminate it and bring it back home. But
What do you think they're going to get contaminated with?
well, what if there is small life on Mars? That's
Right, we don't know.
But it's not even on the government dime. NASA has been basically defunded for years now, and private corporations have sent people out there.
This is a great debate, guys. Unfortunately, we're out of time. We have to go to our judges. So, Josh, tell us what you think.
I was more convinced with the colonial centaurs. I was more convinced with them. They just had facts, and their argument was tighter.
Same with me. I really liked how you talked about the budget and all that. America is in so much debt. You know, I liked how that went well with it, and also men returned back from the moon. I really love that statement. So yeah, I picked you guys.
While I do want to rescue Matt Damon from Mars, I have to say that I agree with the colonial centaurs on this one, mainly because you guys backed up most of your arguments with facts, statistics, whereas the Walker werewolves, while all your arguments sounded good in theory, it just didn't take a lot of the practical applications into account. And you didn't really argue as to why it was worth putting money into this as opposed to hunger or poverty or the debt. So,
Thank you, judges. And Colonial Centaurs, congratulations. You've won the first round.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, Mars might not be worth it, but Speechless sure is. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hello everyone, welcome to this season of College Kitchen. I'm your host, Amelia Fabiano.
And I'm Aaron Kenigsberg.
College Kitchen is a show where we're going to take you around Boston to show you all the hottest food spots.
Whether that is man food, which is your burgers, your bacon, your meat, all that grease, yes.
Or like Sweet Talk, where we'll show you sweet tooth lovers where to get your cake fix, your ice cream fix, all that good stuff.
We also have Wild Card, which is your ticket to food from all over the world.
Or if you're on a budget, like I know I am, we'll take you in the kitchen with Alyssa to show you how to make college food on a budget. So sit back,
Relax.
and enjoy.
College Kitchen!
Oh, hey guys, it's me, Christian, one of your very own Backyard Boston hosts. I swear there's another one around here somewhere. Maggie! Well, anyway, Boston's a great city to get around in, whether you're walking or taking the T. Holy Jesus!
Hey Christian, what
Hi,
a great
Maggie.
segue
Oh, no.
into our segment.
Maggie, we talked about this.
Watch us on the Emerson channel where we show
Please
you
don't.
our segue around Boston.
I give up.
Oh, there you are. Well, looks like you're in time for our second debate. Films and television often tell stories about specific communities and cultures. Sometimes these stories are told by people who have experience with that community or culture. But this topic was recently spotlighted by Matt Damon, who stated that directors should be chosen based on merit and not diversity. Damon's comments bring up an interesting question. Should stories about specific cultures and communities be told exclusively by people from that culture or community, or can they be told by other people? Let's start with you guys. What do you think?
Well, I'm going to start out with a statement that I firmly believe in, which is that people should be represented in all walks of people should be represented in media. However, if you're going to tell a specific story about transphobia, about racism, about homophobia, I believe that it's down to a writer or a director that has actually experienced that to show it accurately on film and camera and to portray it in a way that the people who are actually affected by it can really, truly relate to. I think it's the most accurate way. I think it's the best way to get minority groups who are already severely underrepresented in directors and writers into the media, into film. It's just the all-around best
Do you guys
option.
think that's a fair assessment?
It's fair, but I mean, and I'm certainly not opposed to people of color telling their stories or gay people or trans people telling their stories, but I think we both agree that it's awfully limiting to exclude white people or men from stories about women or people of color.
Well, the 100 grossing films of 2014, ethnic and racial groups were underrepresented by less than 0.5%.
We can give you a good list of films that are quite diverse.
The other thing that we're arguing too is not that, we're just saying that if you open it up for anyone to direct anything, that opens up people to learn another perspective, another side of a story, and they can also branch out and tell other people, and vice versa. You can have a person of color directing a film about someone who's white or about female, and you open up a different perspective for people.
I'm sorry, I'm just gonna come in. It's like that right now. People are allowed to do that right now, and guess what? They don't. 74.4% of leads, this is the Hollywood Report, by the way, of 2014. 74.4% of leads are male, 89.5% are white. That's just the characters represented on screen. Directors are 95.9% male and 4.1% female, 87.8% white. So this is, all of these people are already there. They're already allowed to direct these stories. They're not doing it. So why not say?
What does a white male doing blackface have anything to do with a person of color? Their stories and their importance are so much better told by the people who have lived it and have experienced it.
They may be, and I mean, I think Hollywood is in kind of an unfortunate state nowadays because it's become increasingly commercial, trying to pander to the audience at large, which is often very dumb and shallow. Go a bit more towards the margin. Watch some independent films. Watch some TV shows on HBO. You'll find they're much more diverse. For instance, one of my favorites, Banshee, has a person of color as one of the main characters. Guess how often they mention him being black? Not once. He's just...
Hold on. They're mentioning that he's black. People see it. The movie Home, so many small black girls felt so connected to the fact that she was a main character. They felt that they could relate, and that boosted their personality and their ego because they were like, look, we're being represented.
And additionally, the point is that they tell the story of being black. It's supposed to be black directors and writers telling what it means to be black, because as a white person, I don't know what it's like to be black. I don't know what it's like to feel all the effects of racism in my daily life. Neither do you, and it's not. So it's not up to me to try to show that accurately.
So this is fair, but the thing is, we're talking about this in the context of race. But Denzel Washington recently talked about this. He was asked about the situation. He said that it's more about culture. You know, people can be different races, but they can grow up in different culture. Do you guys think that that's fair? It's more about culture of what the director or writer grew up in? Or is it more about the race? Does it really matter what the color scheme?
Race and culture are often very interconnected. Is it more about race or about culture?
I
I
honestly
couldn't tell you.
wish we had more time. I asked this question, but we're out of time. We have to stop the debate. We got to go to our judges. I appreciate that. I agree with you. Judges, what do you guys think? This was a tough debate.
Oh my goodness! I could talk about this forever. This is, very important and close to my heart, as you might suspect. I'd have to give it on principle to the Colonial team, just because, oh wait, no.
You mean the werewolves?
The Walkers. The Walkers.
Werewolves,
I have to give it to them because Hollywood needs to Hollywood needs to diversify. Yeah, so I have to give it to you guys.
I really liked the facts that stood out with the Walkers, which is why I was much more compelled to pick you guys. So yeah, that's the main reason.
I thought the Colonial Centaurs brought up some good arguments, like it's kind of constraining to have this idea, especially when you consider, like, for example, Catherine Bigelow directed a movie about men in Afghanistan and won an Oscar for it. But I did find the Walker Werewolves arguments more compelling. We do have a serious problem with representation in Hollywood in particular, and of course the industry as a whole. So,
Walker Werewolves, congratulations! You guys have won the second round. Stick around, Speechless. We'll be right back.
Have you had a rough night? We've all been there. And we know where you're going. Backyard Boston.
Whole Foods has announced that it will stop selling foods sourced from prison work programs. They claim that the work release programs are exploitive, but many of these work release programs aim to train inmates and provide them with skills that they can use to find employment once they are released. Are these programs taking advantage of an entire prison population, or is it helping them adjust to public life? And is Whole Foods justified in no longer sourcing foods that are produced from prison labor? Let's start with you guys.
Well, Whole Foods is justified in this statement because they're giving criminals jobs and taking away jobs from law-abiding citizens. And plus it costs $31,286 a year per inmate. New York Times cited that to pay, in addition to the money they're paying these inmates to work. Where that money could go is to law-abiding citizens who didn't break the law and could be able to sell their own produce, such as cheese, instead of the inmates.
And Dan, you mentioned the idea that we're supposed to be training these inmates and giving them good work skills. Well, if that's what we're supposed to be doing, we're doing a pretty lousy job of it. Ex-convicts usually have a terrible time reintegrating into society. So clearly it's not working. So I support Whole Foods' decision because I think prison labor is normally atrocious. There are no regulations. God knows they can't unionize. Right. And the massive for-profit prison industrial complex is a big problem.
So I just want to start off running on this debate with a few facts here. It is an estimated 2/3 or 68% of prisoners who are arrested for a new crime after 3 years. But the program, the CCI, which runs with Whole Foods, helps place inmates in seafood jobs upon their release. So they're giving people these jobs, they're helping them, they're training them, and they're saying, hey, we want to help you be a more productive member of society when you are released. And the inmates who are used in these programs are already on the prison honor system. They're already high up in the system, they've been doing well. And so they're really being given an opportunity to make themselves better.
Also, additionally, I'd like to point out that, sorry, she's notes on this. You said the $30,000 that it costs to house an offender. Whole Foods actually helps pay some of that money back to the prisons, therefore making it cheaper. It makes it cheaper for the taxpayers to house these prisoners if they are working.
And you're saying it will prepare them for jobs, but they could be doing stuff such as lighting or laundry or things inside of the prison instead of jobs that law-abiding citizens could be doing. And yes, okay, could be benefiting society, but at the same time, these workers are working for pennies on the dollar.
They're actually not. They're being paid $4 an hour for their goods and services, and they earn performance bonuses as they go.
Additionally,
but that's less than minimum wage.
No, hold on. We're not saying that that's not terrible and that they shouldn't be paid minimum wage, but they're making money at all, which where else in a prison system can you say, oh yes, while I'm in prison, I'm making money?
How would the situation be different if they were being paid minimum wage? Would it be any different if they're being paid?
I think it would be a slight improvement, but I'd also like to say I think that your solution sounds like a bit of a Band-Aid solution to me. I think that most people who really need to integrate after leaving prison because they're going to be released soon, most of the time they're people who shouldn't be in prison to begin with, i.e. nonviolent drug offenders. The real solution is to reform our prison system and our criminal justice system.
But that's
so
not
this
what we're
doesn't
debating.
become
We're not debating the fact that prisoners are given this opportunity, which anywhere else in the world, probably they would rot in prison for a lot longer.
But they're getting money, they're getting job training, they're placed in jobs after prison. So it's really a great way of reforming. Like she said, it's the prisoners who are on the honor roll that are getting these jobs. They're already moving closer to parole.
We're painting the prisoners in a positive light. What it comes down to is they're prisoners at the end.
Are they not human? Should they not be treated like human
Yes, but they should be doing jobs that would benefit them inside of the prison, repairing the prison.
Who's saying that they don't do those jobs before they move on to jobs that Whole Foods is paying for? If it's 97% people who are exclusively on the honor roll, there are people who aren't on the honor system. So those are the people that are doing the jobs within the prison. These are prisoners who have worked their way up to being able to do this and to being able to be
And the
paid.
prisoners like this. They like the opportunity to leave the prison and get out back into the world that
Guys,
they left.
this is a very good debate. I wish we had more time. We're out of time. We have to go to our judges. What do you guys think of this one?
I wanted to know like what food is Whole Foods like sourcing from the prison systems.
Well, there was this issue with the cheese, and they had cheese that was produced for like 60 cents a day. People were being paid to make that.
Is that organic?
Might have been made in prison.
But anyway, I don't know. It's a tough issue for me. We're kind of split here. I'm gonna lean toward Walker, and we'll see what my fellow judges have to say.
I really loved how Colonial brought that they're taking jobs from law-abiding citizens and that they are prisoners, that they're not law-abiding citizens that have been good thus far. So I side with the Colonials.
I agree with that, and I also like how you also layered on the point that that the manual labor doesn't really help rehabilitate them anyway. So I just thought that you covered all your bases. So I'm going to have to go with the Colonial Centaurs. Yes.
Wow. Well, thank you, judges. This was an incredibly close debate. Colonial Centaurs, you've won the third round, and you also have won the show tonight. So thank you guys very much for being here. We had a great show. That's all for tonight. We'll see you next time on Speechless.